80-something% of people are not satisfied. They have no passion towards what they do, and they don't even like showing up. So if you want to make your first $250,000, get around people that are already making $500,000 or $1 million. You could not even be smart and still make $250,000 because you're listening and respecting and talking to people that already make $1 million. How could you not make $1 million?
You are your biggest asset. You can make far more money than that rental property will ever make.
And a lot of people are working so hard on external things, government, the economy, this. They're not working hard on themselves, and they're not becoming more valuable. You're already a multimillionaire. What time are you getting up in the morning?
4:30.
There's broke people getting up at 7.
I know.
It's like you're broke or you're rich. And I started realizing millionaires invest in 4 things, and it's to a T, Ryan. I have never met a millionaire that has not invested in these 4 things.
All right, we're back for another episode of the Wealth Away podcast, where we want you to not go broke trying to get rich. Today, I got one of my good buddies. He is a repeat guest. He's been on the show about 1.5 years ago. I cannot believe it's been that long. This guy wrote a best-selling book, 7 Rules to 7 Figures, that he was telling me he still makes 5 figures a month on just residually, which is absolutely crazy. And he wrote it 10 years ago. And he's been a good buddy of mine. He's helped out with just different things I've done. And we just finished a dinner yesterday with some people, and I got Peter Voogd back.
What's up, man? It's great to be here. I can't believe it's been 1.5 years.
I know. It's crazy, dude.
Time flies, man.
Yeah. So last time you were here, man, we were talking about quitting your $385,000 a year job. What for people who didn't see that episode, what was that?
Well, I just talked about my journey of really figuring myself out, and I was in a job that had some upside, but it was capped to where I was making about $385,000. I was 23, 24 years old, and most people making that at 23, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm making that kind of money. But I was talking to someone last night about this, and I was very fortunate. I had a millionaire mentor that I hired, because if you want to be a millionaire, you should get around millionaires. But I had never even thought about making millions or becoming a millionaire. I'm from a super small town of 6,000 people. So we did the numbers, and we were doing big numbers. We were doing millions plus, and I was only making a certain percentage. So I literally sat with my mentor, Ryan, for an hour and a half, and he was doing all the numbers, and he goes, they're undervaluing you. You're doing too much output. You have too much leverage, and they're not paying you enough.
What were you, a sales guy?
Yeah, in direct sales.
Yep.
And I said, wait, but I'm making 400, and I've learned to leverage and delegate. So I was only working 15, 20 hours a week because I was learning how to develop people and actually had a team. But he goes, you could make way more if you apply that to your own business.
Yeah.
And it totally transformed my mind, because I might have just been stuck in that mode and made 385, 400 for like years. But instead of that, I shifted to becoming a business owner in my own business. And a couple of years later, I was hitting 7 figures and doing bigger numbers.
Yeah.
So that's why I switched. Is my magnitude of mission was growing, and I was capped on my income. And the only way I could make more money was working a ton more hours. And in real estate or investing, if you only make more money when you work more hours, you literally only have a high-paying job.
Yeah.
So that's why I switched.
Yeah, you got to learn to build a business that can make money while you sleep. It's like a cliche saying, but it's so true.
And it's more true than ever now.
Yeah, because even with right now, like as my time becomes more and more limited, I'm like, man, dude, I can't do things like that I used to be able to do that could definitely make me more money, because it's like, it's just not scalable or worth my time. And, I've built all these businesses, and now like to go look at them every month on the P&L, and I'm like, dang, TrueBooks, my tax company made that much. Yeah. Like I didn't have to work anything on that, but we've been building it for years, and, all that hard work and, the videos and the building, it's all like now paying off.
Yep. So there's a lot of times at the beginning with my businesses where there was legacy stuff I was doing and things that weren't making money right away. It took me 8 months to a year to write 6 months to 6 figures. I was stressed out. I was frustrated, but I had to get my message out. It took me 8 months to a year of making $0 and feeling like I was wasting my time in a sense, because I was writing and I wasn't a good writer, but it's made me 10 grand a month plus for literally like eight years.
That's crazy.
Every month. The Audible and the book sales. So I think everybody should at least be spending 20% of their time on like scaling and legacy focused things, and the rest on profit producers. But like you said, you're spending all this time on the front end doing things that maybe don't make you money right now, But then you look in a year, you're like, oh my gosh, it's making 7 figures. So it's you have to put in the work. And I think a lot of people think like trading time for money. In entrepreneurship, there's a sacrifice stage where you don't make a lot of money.
Right.
Like if you make $1,000 an hour right now, Ryan, there was probably times where you're making negative money an hour.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Me too.
Oh, I got, when the real estate market took a little dip, there was negative hours for sure.
So people they're not wanting to go through that. They're like, I'd rather just be secure and trade my time for money and make my $20 an hour. It's like, that's a trap.
Yeah.
You're not protected with these little robots going around now.
AI. Yeah.
These AI
is
machines.
going to take your job.
Yeah. It's wild.
It is wild. No, but I think, one thing that I've really tried to do on this podcast and just in content is really help the W-2 person who like has a desire to be an entrepreneur and spend more time with their family and, not have a cap on what they make and give them the tools and resources to do that. But one thing too, like I also think about is probably a lot of people who watch this are actually happy at their W-2 and like they're fine with it and they're trying to figure out, okay, like I am going to stay at my W-2. Like I am not fit to be an entrepreneur and start my own thing. And I think they're trying to figure out like how they can just kind of do more on the side.
For sure.
Yeah.
Here's my counter to that though. When I've really dove into the stats and I try to get to the real facts of like what's happening right now, there's, I think, 80-something% of people are not satisfied. They have no passion towards what they do and they don't even like showing up. So there's a majority of people that spend a majority of their life hating what they do with no passion.
Right.
And they wonder why they're stressed out or frustrated. So I would just be willing, if you are happy with your W-2, that's great. Make sure there's upside because I think the ultimate motivation in life is progress. So if you have a job that is capped, you might like it now, but trust me, as human beings, we're either growing or dying. So you're literally, if it's the same thing, people always say, Ryan, there's so many young entrepreneurs, 19, 20, 25, 26 in our communities, both our communities.
Right.
And they're making 6 figures a month. They're making millions. And I know people that are 40, 50, 60 that are loyal, hardworking people that are going broke or they're getting replaced. And that's the scary part. And they say, yeah, Peter, I don't know why I'm struggling. I have 20 years of experience. And the reality is you don't have 20 years if you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You have 1 year repeated 20 times. That's the problem. If you're not growing and innovating and investing in yourself and learning new skills, you only have 1 year repeated. So why would you expect more money if you're not becoming more valuable? Then they get stressed out.
Yeah.
So I tell people, yes, you can have a W-2, but everybody should experience trying to build a business on their own, like a side hustle.
Yeah.
Because going through the failure and going through the frustration, I feel like that builds your mental toughness and your character as well.
Yeah.
It did mine. I got all my mental fortitude from failing and struggling and trying to figure it out and not figuring it out and not going back to the 9 to 5. I dropped out of business school. I was embarrassed forever, like to tell people, you dropped out of school, you're a failure. But then I was like, I'm going to use this as fuel because my college professor was making 60 grand a year and he never ran a business.
It's crazy.
How am I supposed to learn from him?
It's crazy.
So it's wild, man. It's a wild world we live in.
Yeah. Well, I think, one thing that resonated with what you had said at my event. So you spoke at the Tyke Summit and you were talking about, hey, like guys, you've got to become more valuable. Like if you want to win in this new era of tech, AI, recession, like if you're not becoming more valuable in some way, you're done. And you want to go into that real quick?
So it's very important, and I've been obsessed, and here's where this came from, Ryan. So this is an interesting story. I don't know if I've shared it. When I was in a sales job, and I was there from like 19, 20 to 25, 26, there was a certain amount of leaders and managers and division managers that were doing really well. They were the top 5%. And then there was the medium, people that were just getting by. Then there was people that went broke and quit. And there was a restructuring of the company. And a ton of people left. They got headhunted, and a ton of people left to follow another company. And here's what I realized that was weird. And you've probably seen something like this. They all transferred to a different company because they thought the grass was greener. First of all, the grass isn't greener on the other side. It's greener where you water it. So here's what I realized 2 years later with a lot of conversation, a lot of talking to different people who understood and knew the people that transferred. The people that were crushing it in that company previously, they were crushing it in this company. The people that were average in our previous company were still average. And the people that sucked still sucked. And I realized, I'm like, wherever you are, you're there.
Yeah.
You're the constant. So it's like, work on yourself. You work on yourself, the world's going to make room for you. You work on your gifts, you'll make money. The money will find you when you're good enough. And a lot of people are working so hard on external things. Like they're like, oh, the government, oh, the economy, oh, this. They're not working hard on themselves, and they're not becoming more valuable. And what is money in our society? A reflection of value.
Right.
So someone that's broke could be like, dude, it's not fair. How is Ryan making millions? Because he's providing millions of value. He's providing value to the marketplace.
Yeah.
People just don't understand that. So, and there's a restructuring right now in our economy, and the middle class before our eyes is literally getting wiped out. We're seeing it. It's like you're broke or you're rich. And the life for the 1% and the 5% is exceptional. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I want to help people achieve that. And the life for the people struggling that watch the news all day, that are stressed and in fear, it's getting more stressful and more stressful. There's only 3 types of people I think that are going to thrive the next 10 years. There's the high value workers and the high value creators. And that's people that are really good at technology. They're like the technology people, AI, blockchain, that kind of stuff. I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
Then number 2 is the superstars. And number 3 is the owners. So number 2 is the top 5% of every field. I don't care if you're in e-commerce. I don't care if you're doing Amazon. I don't care if you're doing real estate. I don't care if you're a comedian. I don't care if you're an actor. The top 5%, the best of the best, will always crush it and make millions, always. And the third is the owners. Access to capital, or you have a lot of money, or you understand how to move money and raise money.
Right.
Those are the only 3 people. So if you're exceptionally good at technology, like AI and blockchain and that kind of stuff, like really futuristic technology, which maybe you are, but I'm not. But the second thing is, if you are dabbling in the industry, you're going to make dabble money, right? So you have to go all in on what you think you're good at.
Yep.
And become the 5% or 3, you better have access to a lot of money. And that's it. Everyone else is going to be wiped out.
Yeah. No, it sounds like the framework that I've been really talking about a lot lately, which is called a 3M framework I created. So it stands for make, manage, multiply. Okay. So step 1 is make. Okay. You need to figure out how to make 250 grand in one skill.
Minimum.
Minimum. Yeah. That's how you conquer stage 1, 250, one skill. And there's lots of skills you can do, to your point, right? If you can go make 250 in a skill, you're in that top 5%, like you're saying. You're a superstar, right? And you were a superstar at your job. You were making, 400 grand doing your thing, and you were able to take that skill and go to stage 2. Stage 2 is manage. How do I now take the skill that I've learned and start hiring other people and building a company and managing and teaching my skill.
Developing people, really.
Yeah, teaching my skill to develop others who can do my skill for me, right? And you don't conquer stage 2 until you've in my opinion, made over $1 million, okay? And so once you figure out how to make over $1 million in stage 2, doesn't have to be in 1 year, but over time, if you've made $1 million, like running a company, then in my opinion, you can go to stage 3, which is multiply. And that's when you can start, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about getting another stream of income. Hey, I'm thinking about buying a bunch of rental properties. Hey, I'm thinking about now doubling down on my business and growing it tremendously. I just see so many people, they kind of jump to stage 3 from the beginning. They're like, dude, I need like lots of different businesses and I need to buy a rental property today. And I'm like, bro, you're broke. Why do you need a rental property? Like, you need to make money. You need a skill.
100%.
So that it's kind of like what you just said, and it's what you did. You did make, you did manage, and then you multiplied it.
Oh, funny. Yeah, it's a process. And I put in 7 Rules of 7 Figures, my newest book. And it's still like one person that changed my life was Kiyosaki, just because it almost is like he kills all your beliefs of how you grew up. Because I grew up with the poor man mentality, you know what I mean? And thinking people with money were bad. And it's funny, I'm realizing as I get older, it's like the axiom and the thing that people say of, oh, rich people are greedy. It's like, no, greedy people are greedy. Bad people are bad people.
Yeah.
Money is not emotional. It's not good or bad. Money is just here. It's a reflection of value. There's no emotional tie to it.
You know what I say is that money just amplifies who you are, right? Like, so if you're, like you said, you're a generous person, when you get more money, you're just going to be more generous.
For sure.
If you're greedy, if you get more money, you're just more greedy. It's not like, because when people tell me, they're like, dude, once I make enough money, then I'll start giving. And it's like, no, it don't work like that.
For sure, it doesn't at all. 100%, it does amplify you. That's crazy. I enjoy, like, you rented out the Brie restaurant. I was asking you what the bill was. You're like, I don't even know. We dropped a nice little $7 or $8 grand on dinner. I'm excited and happy about that.
Yeah.
Because you like giving people experiences. So
we spent way more than $7 or $8 grand.
But I mean yesterday.
Oh, yesterday. Yeah, we did spend $8 grand. Yeah.
That was a smaller dinner.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the Brio, I don't
I don't know what that
like
was.
50
You packed out that house.
Yeah.
But I like giving back and helping people and spending money on experiences. So I think this would be valuable for you guys watching, because I've been in your shoes. I grew up in a small town. I had no inspiration around me. I've been stressed, struggling, and broke. But when I started to build my influence and I started to interview these millionaires, and I've interviewed people like David Goggins and Tim Ferriss and Tim Grover and Kiyosaki 3 times and Grant and everybody. And I started realizing millionaires invest in 4 things, and it's to a T, Ryan. I have never met a millionaire that has not invested in these 4 things. Now, we'll test this because I've never asked you this. We'll test if you've done these, and we'll see.
All right.
And be honest.
All right.
So the first thing everybody invests in that's a millionaire is back in themselves, whether it's in courses, whether it's in masterminds, mentors, back in their mentality and in their intellect, something to do to spark their mind and make them sharper.
Yep.
2 is they invest back in their business.
Yep.
Once they invest in themselves and they start understanding, oh my gosh, I have to grow a business. I have to become more valuable. I have to provide more value, because a lot of people focus on profit maximization too fast without audience expansion. Audience expansion comes first. If you can't increase your influence and you can't build an audience, you can't maximize profits, right? So once again, when you have an influence, that's when you can maximize profits. So the second thing is back in your business. And that's personnel, that's in branding, that's in marketing, that's in advertising. You had told me last time we interviewed in the other room that you spent 100 grand on your podcast setup.
Yep.
That's back in your business,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And let me ask you this. Have you made the money back pretty quickly from what you, exactly. So you already know that. So
Yep.
it's an investment.
Yep.
That's the second thing. Third thing is, once you invest in yourself and once you invest back in your business, then you start to invest in things that make your money work for you. Assets that make your money work for you, collectibles, whether it's, it could be exotic cars that you like. It could be watches. It could be artwork. It could be rentals. It could be short-term rentals. It could be Airbnbs, something that's proven to make your money work for you. You have to have a filter system on what it is. You can't be one of these kids that spends 500 grand on a car and they're making 700 grand.
Yeah.
Like just stupid stuff like that. You got to be intelligent. But the third thing is assets that make your money work. You've done that multiple times in the millions.
Yep.
And the fourth thing I've seen, after they invest in themselves and they have assets that are producing money while they sleep, ideally you have the business that produces money while you sleep and the assets. That's the key. And the third is memorable experiences. Maximizing memorable experiences with people you care about. That is going to Fiji with your family for a week. That is flying first class or private to wherever you want to go, to Colorado for a ski trip with your family. And I don't know about you, but when I invest in experiences that are like exceptional with my family, you're never like, man, I want to chill out. It makes you go harder. It makes you want to make another million.
Yeah.
I was talking with Michael Francis and his wife last night, and we're planning a trip to Aspen. And every time you go to Aspen, that's the highest billionaire per capita in all the US. In terms of where billionaires live, Aspen's the highest.
Okay.
When you go to Aspen, you leave like, I have to make more money. I have to make like 5 more million, 10 more million.
Right.
So that's the 4 things. So you tell me if you've invested back in yourself, back in your business, back in assets and amazing experiences.
Yeah. That's all I do. I'm going to Cabo tomorrow.
Broke people don't do that though.
Right.
They only invest in things that make them feel wealthy or make up for their insecurities. Clothes. They always consume, they don't produce. It's like Netflix, it's clothes, or they invest in the 4th thing, which is experiences, like going to sporting events with no money. They have no business, they don't invest in themselves, and they get in this vicious trap of spending and consuming. When that's why you see a lot of actors, entrepreneurs, they're extremely wealthy. They have millions, and most people are broke.
Right.
Because they're watching them while the comedians are actually creating content. So that's a philosophy that I've lived by, and it's worked well. So if I'm ever in a rut, I'm like, okay, I'm not spending money on one of those things. Oh, I'm not spending money on myself. I'm not betting on myself or investing in myself. And then I just go through that process. And if people really do that, step 1, invest in yourself. Bet on what else would you invest in?
I know.
Think about it. Besides yourself. It frustrates me because they're like, I'd rather spend $2 grand on a TV.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, even, okay, we all know that buying the $2 grand TV or, the car you don't need is not smart, right? Everyone knows that. But I even take it a step further where it's like, look, you got this money, and if you're going to, like, you might be told that you're smart by putting it into the stock market or by even buying a rental property, right? Like, I'm the real estate guy. Like, I want people to own real estate and buy rentals. But if you were to be like, Ryan, I have two choices. I can go take this money I saved and buy a rental property and then I'm broke again. Or I can go take this money and invest in myself. I'd be like, bro, invest in yourself all day. Like, don't buy the rental property. You are your biggest asset. You can make far more money than that rental property will ever make.
1,000%.
If you have the right skills.
What happens is your value changes and you almost become like a different animal because you value yourself. You move different when you value yourself. Would you agree?
100%.
You just move different. So here's a funny story. So I might have said something about this, how I got my first speech booked. It was actually in Vegas. So it's kind of funny. I'm back in Vegas again. Back in 2012 or 13, Grant took a liking to me. I promoted his book. I didn't have a lot of influence, but he saw I was a young hustler trying to make it. And one day his assistant calls my assistant at the time and emails me and says, hey, Grant can't do this speech in Vegas. He wants to give it to you. It's like a sales speech to the sales team. I was like, wait, what? He's like, Grant, they don't have Grant's budget, but they will pay $5K. And keep in mind, I'm acting tough like, okay, I'll do it for $5. That was my first paid speech.
Yeah.
I never made $5K on a speech. So I was like super pumped and excited about it. And the fact that Grant gave that to me I'll always remember that. So anyways, so I get the speech, but I feel like an imposter. The whole time preparing, I'm nervous, I'm stressed out. I'm like, I don't think I deserve this $5K. I don't know if I could give the value that they want me to give. All these second thoughts, all these doubts. I can't believe they chose me. Why would they choose me? There's probably so many other people that could be better. And I'm going through all these insecurities. Fast forward like four or 5 years, I get booked to speak at the Atlantis at the keynote as a keynote speaker. Got paid very, very, probably 10 times what that was. And they flew me first class. And if you ever been first class on Emirates, you have like a shower. It was like a 15-hour flight, bro. I wanted to keep going. I was like, hey, keep flying. I want to stay in this seat. But anyways, and my thought process changed from, I can't believe they paid me. I can't believe I'm getting $5K. Of course they paid me. Who the hell else would they book? No one could give a speech like this. I'm ready to crush it. I wasn't even that nervous because I was so prepared. I was speaking in front of princes and royalty, and like the CEO of Emirates was there. It was like a 3,000 person event. It was That's wild.
Crazy. How'd they find you?
Just online.
That's crazy.
Literally online. And they said, we wanted someone with young energy. And it was between me and Brian Tracy, they told me. But Brian Tracy was a little, I respect him, but he's older.
Right.
And they needed some young energy. Because everyone there is very, very tight and full suits.
Yeah.
And I kind of brought young energy. And I had a great time. But I thought later, like, why in the world was I so confident? And I was so excited and I wasn't nervous. And I realized that the best person they could have booked was me. When 4 years later, I was like, I can't believe I'm getting paid $5K. It's because I put in the work.
Yeah.
I put in the work to become that person.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think, are trying to shortcut it and become speakers or life coaches or real estate big guys. Look, every day on Instagram, I'm the real estate coach. I have one property, but I'll help you get 10. You know what I mean? It's like there's Airbnb experts that have 2 Airbnbs.
That is true.
So it's like, put the freaking work in. Put the work in. Now I turned down a speech last July for $60K because it didn't match my family schedule. I'm like, I'm good.
Wow.
Because I have leverage.
Wow.
So the key is getting to a place where you have leverage and you can turn stuff down.
Yeah.
But you have to put in the work, and people just, the blood, sweat, and tears, like the early mornings.
Yeah.
You're already a multimillionaire. What time are you getting up in the morning?
4:30.
There's broke people getting up at 7.
I know. That's true.
It makes sense why you're successful. You follow around a millionaire. This is your thought. Makes sense.
That makes sense.
You follow around a broke person. Your thought is, makes sense.
It's true.
So it's just like, I don't know, man. We're having fun, but it's wild.
No,
everything like makes sense.
Hey, if you're looking to grow your real estate investing business, whether you're just getting started trying to get your first deal or you're trying to scale and get to the next level, you need to join us at Wealthy Investor. We've got events every single quarter that are absolutely crazy. We've got online coaching programs where we have Zoom calls, a community every single week. We give you everything you need to know to start your business, scripts, processes, SOPs, all of it. It's for you so that you can dominate. So if you want to learn more about how to join our community and be mentored by me and some of our top coaches and be around other students who are absolutely crushing it, Go to wealthyinvestor.com, apply for a free call with my team. Once again, wealthyinvestor.com, apply for a call today.
No, it's true. And, when you were telling me about just speeches, right? I had you speak at my event, and I had a lot of people telling me, they were like, dude, like Peter killed it. Like
Thank you.
his was so good. That was like my favorite one. And, when we've done other things together, just to see your preparation for speaking, even right now, we're about to hold a workshop for our NFT holders, and you're like, hey, so like, let's go over this. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what you should do and everything else. And I'm very much the opposite.
Off the cuff.
I'm like, hey, when the time comes, the time comes. The word will be revealed to me.
But here's a good lesson though. You can be like that because it's in you. You're prepared.
Right.
You're not going to memorize. Like I don't memorize things. I just want a structure.
Yeah.
But I'm the same way in terms of if someone called me on stage tomorrow,
You'll be fine.
I'm fine because it's in me.
Yeah.
I'm not memorizing and thinking of what to say because it's experience based.
Yeah.
It's not from a book. It's a book that I wrote.
But even still, like your level of preparation.
I'll take your compliment.
Yeah, is very good.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, just everything. Even with before my event, this one, like you're always preparing for everything. So, and that's what rich people do, right? Rich people prepare, and they put themselves in situations where they have the chance to prepare, right? Because it's like, to your point, if somebody who's broke has no opportunities to prepare for, because they just kind of like don't seek out opportunities, they're not putting themselves in the right room, they're not, putting in work. It's like, well, yeah,
Makes sense.
it makes sense.
And they're the ones that are like, there's no opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think there's more opportunity in the next 12 months to 24 months than there was the last 50 years.
Yeah.
With AI, if you use ChatGPT, there's like 5 or 6 AI tools that our team's working on using. It's wild, the technology.
Yeah.
And you don't see it as like it's going to replace me. See it as it's going to supercharge me.
Oh yeah, that's how I see it.
That's a smart way to look at it. Don't be scared. Embrace it.
That's what I think. That's what I thought about social media when I got on, because I've always been the way I am. It's not like I've changed that much as a person. I've always been driven and hardworking. I understood a lot of things. I was able to explain them very, simply. But social media has obviously enhanced that message tremendously, where now it's like, dude, Ryan's this. And it's like, I've always been this. It's not, it's just, it's been enhanced. And so when you look at AI as a tool, and you're just like, man, this tool is about to enhance what I already do tremendous. It's not going to transform you. Like, it's not going to make you different. It's just like we talked about with money. It amplifies you.
And it can't think for you.
Yeah.
It's still you.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, because you still have to put the inputs into it of like, hey, here's what I need from this tool.
It's just not, I just feel like it's not intelligent to hate on something that's inevitable just because you don't understand it. I almost think that's just, that's in our society right now, I feel like that's the lowest form of intelligence, is just hating on things you don't understand.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's just, you can't do that. It's like hating on the internet back in the 90s. It's like, you can't do it.
I just finished a 5-day masterclass. First time ever doing it. It was a lot of work, and yeah, dude, this is this week, honestly, I could probably say it's the most I've ever spoke in an entire week. It's been a lot, and I still got podcast, and we gotta go do this thing. So it's a lot of work. That's why I'm going to Cabo. But during the masterclass, I said that, hey guys, when you're hearing people tell you not to do something, or this is a scam, or that doesn't work, look at that person and their life, okay? And just say, like, what do I want to be like this person? Do they have something I want? Oh, they don't? Because most of them don't, right? Most people dismiss, they call things scams, they do whatever because they just don't even want to give it a chance. They don't want to put in the work, whatever the case is, right? It's easier, right? But if you go talk to any rich person, to your point, and you'll never hear them say, oh yeah, investing in yourself is a bad idea.
Not one.
Getting a mentor is a bad idea. Going to this event that's going to have high-level people at it, that's a bad idea. You don't want to do that. It's just like no one ever says that.
For sure. It makes sense. And it makes sense that they don't say that, because that's how they grew.
Yeah.
Is mentorship. Like Michael Jordan is the GOAT, one of the best ever. He had a coach.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like the best have coaches.
Yeah.
So Steve Jobs had a mentor. It's just like, I just took the writing on the wall. I just saw all successful people I knew got up earlier. They invested themselves. They talked to people playing the game at a higher level than them. They had routines. They focused on building successful businesses that could scale. It's like when I was younger, I'm just like, I got to do what they do.
Yeah.
And I was younger in a town where there's no entrepreneurs and everyone worked 9 to 5s.
Right.
And everyone was fear-based. I remember in 2008 or 9 when that recession hit, I was starting out in sales and the recession hit. I remember thinking, Ryan, there's no more money to be made. My family's scared. Everyone's hoarding. They're like, I got to save my pennies. I got to save my money for a rainy day.
Yeah.
And I'm working 80 hours a week. At that point, I'm stressed thinking about throwing in the towel, giving up. Because I'm like, I'm starting a business and the recession's here. And I'm working 80 hours a week. I'm like, what am I doing? And someone asked me and they said, do you want to go to this small event? I didn't realize, but it was kind of like a mastermind. And I'll never forget, it was in Tacoma, Washington. And they said, do you want to go to this mastermind? And I literally go, I'm too busy. Yeah. But I was busy doing nothing. I was busy being broke. So I'm like, what am I doing saying no to something that could help me while I'm working my ass off like a hamster wheel, whatever, and I have no money. So I have nothing to lose. Finally, I'm like, I'm going. I don't remember what happened at that event. I remember seeing a guy that I felt was successful. He was a younger guy. He was successful. I think he was close to the millionaire status or about the millionaire status. Had a nice car and he had a business he loved and he just seemed young and healthy. And he said something that I will never forget that changed my entire life. In the midst of the hour's talk, I didn't know anything else he said. I didn't catch it, but one thing. He goes, you guys have to realize that when the economy is down and when there's a recession, the money doesn't disappear. It transfers hands.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was like, wait. My whole family and all my existence of people in my circle think it disappears. And then I realized how stupid that sounds. It doesn't disappear.
Right.
It just transfers hands to the people that understand supply and demand, understand economics, and understand value. So I was like, from that moment, I'm like, I'm going to become the person of value and substance that the money comes to so I can then give back and help. But same thing now. There's a recession. The news is giving everyone fear. And people that are in fear, at least in my past and people that I have been around, people in fear love to share fear with other people to make them feel better about living in fear.
Yep.
So everyone's in fear now, but they don't realize the money, there's a huge transfer of wealth happening right now.
Yep.
And if you give $1 million to every single person in society, what's going to happen within a year? It goes right back up to the top.
Yep.
Every single time.
Every time.
So you watching, understand there's a lot of money to be made. There's billions transferring hands as we speak. So if you're broke, the first place to start is I'm broke.
Yeah.
Deal in reality.
Right.
Second place to start if you're older is I'm old and I'm broke. And you live in America.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's the mentality changed my life. Because at that moment, I was like, I can't make money because there's no money to be made because there's a recession. What a dumb mentality when I think about it. But now it's like, there's a lot of money to be made. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's that abundant mindset. How
Right.
can you drop $50K on a dinner? Because you'll make it back.
Yep. Yep.
So it's just like, I could go on forever, man. I'm passionate about this stuff because I want to help people see what's really possible if they actually put their mind to it and they get rid of all these limitations.
Yeah.
That's the only limitation people have are the ones they've placed on their mind or the ones their past has given them or their society.
No, the reason I like talking to you and even bringing you on stage and on the show too is because a lot of things that I gravitate towards are very tactical. Because in my mind, I'm just like, I'm already assuming your mind's right. And I'm like, okay, hey, if you're listening, you're obviously a smart person. And so here's, here are the things that you need to do now because your mindset's already right. But I forget that, 90% of the world has not got there yet, mindset wise. And so they still live with all of these fears and false beliefs. And they're like, man, dude, the world hates me and this isn't fair because I was born this way or in this community or with this skin color or, it's like, look, I hate to break it to you, but yeah, everyone's born with certain advantages and disadvantages, right? Like, some of you guys are going to be born in really rough situations and you're going to have to learn to overcome that. Some of you are going to be born spoon-fed and that's also a problem, right? You got to learn to overcome like not having to go through hard things, and then you do go through hard things and it's different. Some people are born to become great public speakers. Some people are introverted. Some people have athletic talent. Some people are good looking. Some people are ugly. Like either way, we're all humans. And if you live in America, I don't care where you grew up, okay? You have an opportunity that the rest of the world doesn't have. And so like we kind of get, I don't know, divided in America and all these excuses and everything else. And it's like, bro,
It's entitlement and it's victim mentality.
yeah. Like there's lots of Asians who do well. There's lots of black people that do well. There's lots of white people that do well. There's lots of jacked up people of all those races too.
Yep.
And it's just like, what separates everyone? I think it goes back to your mindset.
Yep, for sure. And I always use the tool like, hold up your excuse to the light. Hold it up. If there's been a situation like yours and someone has succeeded, your excuse isn't valid.
Yeah.
And if you hold up your excuse like, well, I grew up this, I don't have a dad, I grew up in like a really rough area, all these bad things happened to me. If you hold it up and someone else grew up like you did and they're successful, your excuse is invalid.
Yeah.
You have to check yourself.
Yep.
And sometimes the best thing you need is to hear things that you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
People calling you out in a sense.
But you know what I'll say too is like, I think the harder your life is, the more like admirable it is for
The story.
You know, yeah, your story. And you know, when things are easy, like cool. Like I'm glad you were successful.
For
like
sure. Every great story has that underdog. I agree.
Yeah.
And if you have a rough past, I almost feel like you have an advantage because when you get past that, your story is going to be so much more inspiring.
1000%.
Everyone has a book. Everyone's life is a book, and a lot of books people don't want to read because
Yeah.
there's no triumph, there's no like getting through challenges.
Yeah.
It's just like a lot of times if someone has an addiction or something that happened to them that's tragic, that's like they end there.
Yep.
It's like, dude, that's like part of the story. So yeah, man, I think if we could get anything out, it's just understand how much potential and opportunity there really is.
Yeah.
If you get rid of all the noise,
Yeah.
and you just look inward and really reflect on what's possible, and you want it bad enough, you'll make it happen.
Oh, 1,000%. A saying that I've now come to like that I recently started doing is that your purpose has to exceed the cost. And so in the end, if you're trying to accomplish something, if the purpose of why you're doing it doesn't exceed the actual cost of what it will take, you won't do it. Point blank, right? And so even for people who are trying to make more money, they might say, well, you know, I want to go make 6 figures, right? And I always say like, okay, but why?
Yeah.
Why do you want to make 6 figures? And if they have a very good reason that's, you know, powerful, like, hey, I want to help my mom. I want to do this. I want to get out of here and whatever. And like they truly mean it, then they will overcome the cost of doing it. But if it's not, if they don't have a big enough purpose for it, right? You're like, yeah, well, I would like to, you know,
Just sounds
get out
good.
of here. Like, that'd be great. It's like, well, no, dude, you don't really want to get out of here, you know? And so you're not going to put in the work to actually
100%.
make it happen.
And right when the challenge happens, the challenge devours them.
Yeah.
Because there's no reasons to pull them through. I agree. I had strong reasons from my past. So that's huge, man. Yeah. Reasons come first. I think results come second. I read an article in either Forbes or Fortune like 3 years ago, and it said the reason there's not more millionaires is people don't have enough reason to become one.
Yeah, their purpose doesn't align with being a millionaire.
Yeah.
And it's true. It's like, you know, people are like, Ryan, I want to be a millionaire. I'm like, for what? Like, why? And you got to answer that question.
And $1 million is not even what it used to be.
No. I think the goal,
If I looked at my
the new millionaires got to be like 5 million.
5 million. If I looked at my tax return and it was like $1 million, I'd be like stressed out to the max. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm stressed out. I need scale.
Yeah.
And not that I'm bragging because I used to be dead broke, but $1 million is not what it used to be.
Yeah.
I think people need to be making $250,000 no matter what minimum, and then 500, and then get a baseline of $1 million a year.
Yeah. And $1 million a year obviously is very difficult to do. So I'm not like, I don't want anyone to think that we're just like talking easily of that.
But if you're offended by that, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Like, we're not saying it's easy. We're telling you to get there.
Yeah. Nobody should be offended by that. But I think where people don't realize is that 250, you know, I talked about make, manage, multiply, like 250 is the minimum. And we broke that down during the masterclass this week where I was like, guys, let's just do an example. Okay. Let's just do an example of, hey, if you make 10K a month and you have kids and you're married, let's see how far it really goes. And I was like, all right, first thing, here's your taxes. Okay. They just ripped 30% from you. Okay?
If you're lucky.
Yeah. If you're not in Cali. Yeah. And then the next thing is you have a mortgage or rent, right? That's your next biggest expense. You know, if you're making 100,000, let's just say you're making $2,500 a month in rent or mortgage, which is once again, like not even a ton, but you already lost half your income at this point. And then, you know, you got utilities, you got insurance. How much do kids cost?
Groceries,
Kids are a lot of money, right? Groceries, kids,
phone, internet,
your car payment, right? What kind of car are you driving at 100,000? You're probably driving like a decent car at least. I mean, you probably got, you know, maybe a $500 car payment at a minimum.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh yeah, I'm broke.
Yeah.
You literally go through the whole thing and you have no money.
Yep.
And in fact, you're probably in debt because you had no discretionary spending.
Over leveraging.
But we as humans want to enjoy life. And so you go on that vacation, you put it on a credit card, you buy that laptop because you need it, you buy that TV, and all of a sudden you're in debt.
Yep.
And you're just like, yeah, 100,000, 10 grand a month does not give you anything.
Yep.
And you're for sure like not saving or going crazy. Now, you know, 10 grand a month when you're single and you got no kids and you just live in a $800 a month studio, for sure. Like you can do stuff. But for many people who have families, it's nothing.
What if you have a wife that has an Amazon and a wine addiction like mine? I can't even survive off 10, 20K a month. That's just what she spends on wine and Amazon. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Kind of.
It's
But,
crazy.
for sure, man. People don't, if they actually really tracked what gets managed and what gets measured gets managed, and you can actually improve on that. A lot of people don't manage their money. I know exactly where everything's going. Well, I have the right team for it. I don't do it, but I look at that all the time.
Yep.
100%.
100%.
I know what we're spending on like Instacart and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, babe, we spent like $6 grand on Instacart last month. But I'm like, it's fine. But our kids are like bottomless pits.
I know, dude.
They eat nonstop.
How old are your kids?
3.5 and 1.5.
Yeah.
Like almost
mine are
2.
2 and 4. Like they just
They're
literally,
little Tasmanian
they don't
devils.
stop eating.
I know.
Like they literally eat until they sleep. Like they wake up and they're like, give me some food.
I know.
And then we have dinner and then they're like, all right, it's snack time now. Like, how do you guys just eat nonstop?
And they don't gain weight because they're like always going and they have so much metabolism. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. I would not trade it for the world, man.
Yeah.
I love having little kids.
Yep.
We're going to have another one, maybe 2. If
There
it's
you
up to
go.
me, I'd have like 4 more, but it's not up to me, really.
It's not up to you.
I'm not pushing them out, so yeah.
But yeah, I talked to, I did that exercise and showed them. I'm like, guys, like 10 grand a month ain't it, right?
No. It's a good like benchmark and starting point, like once you get to 10K, but you can't do much.
No.
You can't even do much with 15 or 20K.
Yeah.
I think starting is like 20K, you should start to have a little bit of a lifestyle.
Well, and that's what I said. I go, here's what it looks like at 20K a month. And we broke it down. I'm like, you could start saving, you can, donate,
invest a
you
little
can
bit.
invest, you can, and like you could still go on a vacation and enjoy life. And like 20K is really where, hey, you can really start being pretty good. Yeah, I was doing mine. Yeah, my lifestyle expenses are pretty crazy now.
But the money's coming in to where
Yeah.
it doesn't make a difference.
There's a thing, and I don't know if you talk about it in one of your books, but like, a typical way that I've always learned for most people is like, hey, you give 10%, you save 10%, and you live off 80, right? And then you like figure out, man, like really wealthy people do the opposite. They, live off 10%, they can give and save however much else beyond that. Like they just depending on what it is they do. Or, give, save, invest, whatever the case is. And it's like, yeah, my lifestyle has increased as my income has increased, but I've always kind of maintained that margin where it's like, yeah, I probably live off of 10% or less of my income.
The margin stays the same in
Yeah.
terms of if you make an extra blank,
Yep.
it's not like your lifestyle goes way overboard, so your margin changes. Your
Yeah.
margin stays the same. I'm the same way.
Exactly.
And I have friends that some of them people know of. They're well off, and some of them are pretty big in this space, and they're just really bad with money.
Yeah.
If they make another 200K, they buy a house that they pay 10K more a month on their mortgage.
Yeah.
That's not smart.
Yeah.
So you got to have a good money mindset, man.
Yeah.
For sure.
100%. So what do you think about just everyone who's trying to make that leap, dude? What's the best way for them to get to 250?
I mean, you want to get around. So how I made my first 250 from being broke, my book is called 6 Months to 6 Figures. And I actually made 6 figures in 5 months, but that wasn't an exciting book title. Was I just got around people making 6 figures. So I was around people making $500,000. That's what helped me get to 1, 2, 300K. So if you want to make your first $250,000, get around people that are already making $500,000 or $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
They will cut your learning curve in half. They'll speed up the process. You could not even be smart and still make $250,000 because you're listening and respecting and talking to people that already make $1 million. How could you not make $1 million? If you want to be a millionaire, talk to millionaires.
Yeah.
You hang out with 5 intelligent people, you're the 6th, period. You hang out with 5 broke people, you're the 6th. Hang out with 5 idiots, who are you?
Yeah.
But that's just the reality. So that's what I'd tell them. Get around other people, because the biggest breakthrough I've ever had, one of them is, you don't have to figure it out when you have the right network.
You want to know what's interesting too? I want to just say this, because some people might be like, well, how the heck am I going to go hang with millionaires? Because why would they want to hang out with me, right? I personally, so like this is something I've struggled with, because Mindy and I, we still have like lots of friends who definitely they're not rich, right? But they're great people and great morals. And so we have commonality that way, just not financially, right? And, I'll go to like events and things like kids' birthday parties and, stuff like that, right? And I'll talk to people and I'm just like, dude, I have like nothing in common with you to talk about. Like, yeah, we have kids, but just like the conversations are so different, right? And it's because like the person I'm talking to, it's not that they're a bad person. They just have a totally different mentality
Paradigm,
than what I do, right? But what I will say is, even though they may not be, kind of like in the same mindset financially, there are people who they come to my events and everything else, and they might make the same exact amount of money as that other person, but they have a totally different mindset. They're hungry. Mm-hmm. They haven't made it yet, but they're working and they're trying to make it. And I love talking to those people. I'm like, bro, like, let me help you out. Like, I can see it. We are of the same mentality, even though your results have not caught up yet to your mentality.
Those are the people you want to help.
Yeah.
The conversation really is different when you're talking to people that are hungry, that are winning. It's just
Well, and that's why, and I can even tell, that there are people who will do, like I saw some of them at, this masterclass we did where you could just tell they had the wrong mindset. Yeah. And I was trying my best to like help them see, but I'm just like, there's like nothing I can really do for that person. Like, as if everything is always defensive and like, oh, well, what about this and that? And then like, there's no way I could do this. And you're just like, dude, I don't know what to say to you.
You just say you're right.
Yeah.
That's my response. You're right. You're totally right, dude.
But then you have people who, like I said, they're not there yet, but their mentality's right. And they're like, hey, I get it. Yeah. And I'm hungry and I want to make this happen.
And it seems like those are your listeners.
Yeah.
Which is why I love doing these kind of things, because they're like, they're probably sitting there right now on YouTube taking notes, like hungry, ready to go.
Yep.
And there's probably one person like, this won't work. It's like, okay, that's fine. But if you catch both those people in 5 years, and the one that said it won't work is still broke, and the one that has been watching Hungry with Notes is a millionaire, like, makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the common theme of this talk. Everything makes sense. When you actually study stuff, it makes sense. It just makes sense why society is stressed out.
Yeah.
They spend all their time watching the news versus watching Ryan Pineda videos.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Just watch Ryan Pineda videos and you'll be good.
For sure.
Well, bro, we got to get to this workshop, man. I appreciate you for coming back on, man. It's always good. I'm excited to see some things we do together, dude.
Yeah, me too, man. Thank you for having me, and let's get to it, guys. There's a lot of success to be had.
There is, and it makes sense, guys.
I'll
see you on the next episode. Peace.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. Thanks for making it to the end. The good news is I've got another one that I know you're going to like, and all you got to do is click it right here, linking it right here. All you got to do is just click it, and you're going to see this new episode that you're going to love.